Metal scholars, if you're curious about the oldest city in the world and you look it up, you will see that the answer is Jericho. Not only that, it's also the city with the oldest protective wall. And I believe that these two things are linked to why Sleep Token decided to name the song Jericho. Remember that in the only interview ever done by Vessel, he said that sleep is as old as mankind. So where there's a town, there's sleep, and in terms of the presence of worshiping, the gift of dreams and the curse of nightmares. Vessel begins Jericho by singing, "Tread, ancient water salt like I." Here and throughout the song, if you look at the stanzas, they have parallelism, which is the use of successful verbal constructions, kind of like in poetry, and they correspond in grammatical structure, in sound, meter, meaning. That gives you a rhythm. And he begins singing about water salt, the ocean, right? I mean, it gives you these images of the ocean, and the ocean is where life began. You just begin this cinematic journey with the rhythm of the tide, someone being able to tread salty water. And actually, that's something that only gods can do, like Jesus walking on water. But you can do that when you're dreaming, when you are with sleep. Then you're also powerful. But the incredible thing here is that he organizes the words in a way that you have an antithesis of treading the water and sinking at the same time, which gives me the vibes of the uncertainty principle. Like the quantum entanglement, both things happening at the same time, Schrodinger's cat. And if you look at the stanza, you see this construction that in poetry that's called a hyperbaton, which is just a fancy way to say, you do like the inversion of the normal order of a sentence. And it feels like he's saying, I tread ancient water salt. And to me, like I said, this is exclusive to the power of a god. That would be like the dreamy power of being really close to sleep. And then he goes like, I sink down like precious stones. And that means that even if you're a gem, if you're valuable, you're still going to sink, because diamonds sink in water, or gold sinks in water. But I think this is a fantastic and artistic way to give images of contrasts and beautiful metaphors. This is like true poetry. You can choose to take tens of ways for you to draw meaning here. But to me, the main scene that I get is this, fact about the water representing the spirit. And it's also the solvent of life. And because salt dissolves in water, it may later precipitate as new crystals. So it's got this relationship of the body and rebirth, resurrection, immortality. And the Dead Sea is not far from Jericho. It's just 30 kilometers, or 19 miles. Now he gives us more info. Until I wake. So he is indeed sleeping here. It's a confirmation. And when he's sleeping, he's doing what? He's dining on old encounters. He's not only eating, he's dining. And dining is epic. It elevates the metaphor. He's consuming memories like he does with food that is worth taking the time and cherishing the moment. He's giving you the sensation that love and sex can be linked to gastronomic experiences, to dopamine release, to the pleasure of a meal. Dreaming is linked to the axis, to the past, where things were better, where your relationship was probably, more joyful. So you're like, okay, let me enjoy this moment, let me cherish, but only until I wake up. In this case, this is similar to Calcutta. You're only whole when you're sleeping, and the dynamics are super important for us to understand the interaction between sleep and vessel. And the puzzle is daunting. The next line has the word until by itself. So he really wants to focus on this word specifically. And then you can say, until you taste like new flesh, and that means the sense of novelty, right, is not there. It's been lost. And I'm trying through the power of imagination to be able to recover the feeling that I had for you. But if I don't use the word until, if I just say, hey, you taste like new flesh, that's sexy, that's positive, that's novelty. And this is an ingenious way to make it paradoxical, to make it contradictory, antithetical. And again, it's just Vessel throwing some genius lines and combinations out there. Again, this could be the struggle of vessel and sleep. It's the bipolar thing. It's the light and the dark. Either way, regardless, vessel is going to worship. If it's love, if it's your internal drive, sleep can be whatever drives you. It's power. It's power for you to choose what you want to worship. But regardless of what it is, you got to say the name, right? That's the thing. Say it again. Worship more. Let me know. Make it known. As long as you're worshiping, the relationship is there. You're the serf and they're the Lord. You establish this gradient of power. But this is only done in both parts if everybody is okay and if they're getting something out of it. The following stanza, it's got the same parallel structure, again, juxtaposing the idea of secrets and sex, and you have a romantic bond, but you still keep many secrets from each other, you know? Years go by and everything gets swept under the bed. The images of sleeping, having sex, everything happens in bed. All these possibilities, and he's just giving you images of those possibilities and interactions. And the rest of the song is just classic prayer. It's a mantra. It's a repetition of these feelings and sensations. And remember that some lyrics by Sleep Token are very much like scripture. You know, they're open to interpretation. They can be taken to many directions. And prayer is just useful because it's a road to access spiritual feelings. But it's done in a repetitive way. And this really gets into your head. And something that I haven't mentioned yet, Jericho is very famous for its walls. And it's actually the first walled city in the world. It's the oldest community. And to me, this can be an analogy to this section here. There's something in the way you lay. Something could be the wall that's been built between these two people. And the wall is just so powerful that it could even raise the dead. It could make them switch graves. At the same time, it could also mean watching someone sleep. And I'm so amazed by the feeling of excitement, right? I can feel that I'm not dead for a moment, and then I'll maybe die later on and then just go to a different grave. But that action, you know, just watching somebody there was enough for me to be raised from the dead. Again, very cryptic, hermetic, and by design similar to scripture. And that's Jericho in a nutshell. An incredible song, very cinematic. A song that closes these spiritual journeys from the 2 EP in a beautiful manner. What do you think about the song? What's your take on it? Did I forget something that you think it's worth sharing? Please let me know in the comments below. Music is what music does, and I'm signing out. Embrace the night. Worship. Bye now.